right, as pro-Hamas demonstrations have roiled college campuses throughout the country, many have noted the protest demonstrations, they kind of all look the same. They have all these indicators of a well-funded, highly coordinated effort. Imagine that. Well, recent reporting has revealed that student groups organizing the protest have received financial backing from many of the largest funders of Democratic election campaigns, including top donors of President Joe Biden's reelection bid. Now, given the president's catering support among young people who are anti-Israel, what can we make of these conflicting agendas? Well, joining me now to discuss this is Washington Times online opinion editor and columnist, Cheryl Chumley. Cheryl, welcome to Washington Watch. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Great to be with you.
So you've covered the funding sources for these student demonstrations. What have you learned?
So a lot of people have kept their eyes on how the funding is flowing into some of these student groups. And really, it's your usual suspects, right? George Soros's Open Society Foundation, the Tides Foundation, the Rockefeller Brothers Fund. Formerly, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation had some ties to this too, though they've said that they've pulled out of funding, and certain groups that are now funding these pro-Palestinian anti-Israel protests. The Pritzkers, Susan and Nick Pritzker, they are the heirs of the Hyatt hotel chain, and they not only have their hands in this funding of these groups, but have donated to Joe Biden's campaign just a couple years ago to the tune of $300,000. So if you start looking at some of these curious ties, there really does seem to be very many links between the funders of these anti-Semitic displays and the Democrat Party.
Now, I saw a poll from Harvard recently that suggested from 18 to 29-year-olds, this poll, I think it was out like 2 weeks ago, it was among Americans under 30. They had a list of about 16 issues. Almost dead last of the issues was the Israel-Hamas conflict. So I'm wondering, given the financial backing and the polling on this, are these demonstrations more AstroTurf than grassroots?
Well, there's always a mix, right? And speaking of polls, there was an even more alarming poll that came out just recently that showed that Gen Zers, 18 to 24-year-olds, a third of them actually don't think Israel has a right to exist as a Jewish nation. So that's a little bit of alarming warning what's coming down the pike in terms of America's next batch of leaders. But if you're looking at whether these protests are just springing up based on student concerns for the poor Palestinian civilians, then I would have to disagree with that. I would have to say that it appears to me that this is yet another leftist type strategy to take advantage of the ignorance of youth that have been purposely dumbed down by Democrats in the public school system for years. And now they are using these youthful protesters on college campuses to advance a political agenda that is very anti-Semitic at root.
Well, it also works to garner media attention. So, I mean, this has dominated the media for 2 weeks. So, I mean, if you're thinking about, from a political standpoint, you want to get your messaging out there. I mean, you pay, a few $1 million to buy pizza for kids and give them, worksheets on how to have a protest. And then you have the media covering it, wall to wall for 2.5 weeks. It's actually a pretty good investment of your money.
It actually is. That's a very good point. And look, if you step back from what's going on in the college campuses, that's one issue. The ugly, horrific protest movements that I never thought I would see so widespread in America, right? But the bigger theme here, the bigger issue that we need to concern ourselves with is why this is taking place. And it's not so much about Israel and anti-Israel agenda, which is part and parcel of it, but the bigger idea is to tear down America, to divide and conquer, which is sort of the Democrat Party playbook that we've seen since Barack Obama days, since the Democrat Party took a turn from being, the pro-America blue-collar working party to really one that is filled with Marxists and communists and collectivists and
Right.
those who hate America. And one way that they can tear down America from within is to create chaos, division, and violent outbursts.
Yeah, this is right out of the Marxist playbook. So, Cheryl, primary takeaway for this last 30 seconds, how do Americans need to respond to this?
Well, first off, if you're a parent with a child who wants to go to college, I would think very, very carefully about that. And second off, it's really time to turn back to God in this nation because we are fighting so many battles on the political realm right now. And if we see these youth as emerging to be America's next leaders, we are in deep, deep trouble, and we need God more than ever.
Cheryl, extremely well said. I agree 100% with you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Thanks.